Hey, it's Kevin. Welcome back. So we're looking at our hot soup glaze calculator again. This time we're going to look at some of the tools that we have for volumetric blending. That's taking a set of glazes and testing between them. So the link to the calculator is in the description of the video. If you decide that you really like it, you can buy me a coffee at the link down below as well. So let's get started. This is a copper red recipe, and let's say I wanted to test to figure out what happens if I add, silica or alumina to this recipe. And so I've got the base recipe here, and I've also created 4 glazes with varying amounts of silica and alumina. So I basically just added flint or clay or both to create these 4 points here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our grid tester. That's one of the last tabs on the calculator. You're just going to go there, and we can pick out up to 5 glazes, although I usually only do 3 personally, and I've never done more than 4, but you can do this with up to 5. And what you're going to do is you're going to select the glazes that you want to mix. So we're going to do 2, 3, 4, and 5 were the glazes that I made. And it populates their recipes down below, and it gives you the just a summary of the chemical analysis. And over here are testing quantities. So this is the amount of the amount of glaze A and the amount of glaze B and the amount of glaze C that you put into the test. I'm just going to delete this for now. So here we have our glaze recipes on the chart. And let's say that that what we wanted was to and you can add you can either add or remove objects from the chart using these options. So we can either label them, or we can look at just the base glazes, or we can look at all the in-between tiles. Okay, so let's say, for example, we wanted to do just a simple line blend between our glaze. Let's label them, our glaze A over here and glaze B. So just a line blend that shows like what happens if we add silica to the recipe. So we could really easily do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 parts of A and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts of B. And when we look at the tiles, we'll see that our calculator is filling in the gaps there. And if we want to know the recipe of any particular tile, like let's say we want to know the recipe of tile 3, and we can look at their numbers as well, what we can do is you can pick out 3 from this drop-down menu, and it will give you the chemistry as well as the recipe. And so a line blend is pretty simple for us to just do by hand, but if we want to do something more complicated, we could use our template maker. So that's that other tool that we briefly saw, but I didn't actually explain. So it's got a set of tools that allow us to generate these volumetric tests according to whatever parameters we want. For example, here generates a rectangle shaped test using 4 points. This is a 3-point triangle. And this is a 4-point pyramid. So this is actually a 3-dimensional shape. It's got 3 points that form the base, and then it builds up in a 3rd dimension towards a 4th point. So let's take this 3-point triangle, and we've got, let's say that we want 6 edges, or sorry, an edge length of 6, and so that what that means is that there's 6 points between any 2 glazes. So it goes 6 this way, 6 this way, and 6 along the bottom. And the tool will tell you how many tests this will produce. So in this case, it's 21. And over here is what's called the ideal testing volume. That's just the minimum number you need, the minimum test value you need to have in order to have whole numbers. So if I put, like, say 4 here as our test volume, you can see that we've got like a number of fractional values. At 5, that just means like the total value, the total volume of each individual test. At 5, we've got whole values, and at 10, of course, we've got those whole values, but now they're doubled. And so you basically just want to use this number and factors to figure out what volume you want to be testing at. And so this is 21 tiles. It's pretty manageable for a test. So I'm going to go over here to the template. I'm going to copy these values, and I'm going to bring them into our grid document. And what I want to do is I want to paste these, but I only want to paste the actual numbers. So you want to go right click, and you want to go to paste special, and you want to go to paste values only, and that will just paste in the values and the numbers. You can also use Control-Shift-V as a shortcut for that kind of paste operation. And what that'll do is that will now chart out a triangle-shaped glaze test between our glaze A, B, and C. We can also do a rectangular shape test. Up here, we've got options for the length of our x-axis and the length of our y-axis. And this particular test assumes that the line between A and B is your x-axis, and the line between B and C is your y-axis. And that will make sense. That will start to make sense as you try to use this. So let's say we wanted to do like a 5x5 grid, so that's 25 in total. And you'll see that our optimum volume here is 16. And so multiples of 3 and 4 are good for this. So like so 8 works pretty well, and so does 12. You still have these fractional values, but they're values that they're fractions that we can understand, like 6 3/4 or 1 1/2. And so I'm going to copy this now, and we're going to paste this in. You want to only paste your values. If you do just a straight up paste, sometimes you'll get sort of like a jumbled mess like this. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong document. Okay, here's the one. But sometimes you get kind of a jumbled mess, and that's because you're pasting the formulas from the other document and not the values. So what you want to do is you want to be pasting just the values, so you just get the numbers. And now we've got a rectangle shaped chart. There's a dog running around here. All right, so let me just check my notes real quick. All right, so we have this tool for making these templates. You also have some samples. Just one tab over, we've got a couple samples of some really commonly that feel are a little bit more commonly used. So you can use those, and we can also export these files to our grid tester. So we can click here, and that will add our base glazes to the test document, or to the journal document. Oops. So now you see it's created a new entry for the grid test, and it's got our 4 base glazes as well as the testing volumes. And then we can also add in, export a particular one of these tests. So let's say we really like that one in the middle, which I'm going to guess is number 12 or 13. And what we can do is you can add this particular tile to the journal. And you can see there's like a new entry just for that, that particular test. Just like when we were comparing 2 glazes, you want to make sure that all the glazes that we're testing between volumetrically are being calculated the same way. So you want to make sure that all 3 glazes have the same UMF settings, and it'll give you a warning if that's not the case. So over here we have warning telling us that that some of these glazes are being calculated differently than others, and you can actually see down here on this chart, these 3 base glazes should be at the 3 corners of this grid, or of this triangle shaped grid, but they're not, because the base glazes are actually being calculated differently than these tiles are. The way that this tool works is it takes whatever setting most of the base glazes here have, and it applies those to the test tiles. So all these tests, they work. They make sense on their own, but the result kind of looks a little bit skewed, and so you want to make sure that all of our base tests are in agreement, and when they are, like when we have when all of the glazes are being calculated the same way, now our base glazes are in the right place and all the tiles are being calculated correctly. And so you just want to keep an eye out for that, and you'll have that warning pop up if that's not the case.